Hey everybody, Luke here back with another video. And first things first, I'd like to wish everyone a very happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope everyone is safe and enjoying the weekend as much as you possibly can. I know lately it's been really difficult to find the simple things in life and go out and have a good time, but hopefully that you're in an area where you can find a way to enjoy the weekend as best as you can. Now, I haven't done a video in forever, and you would think the current situation that's going on right now, you would think time is like everything. You can have all the time in the world to do a video, and it actually hasn't been that way. Between work and then even from like when I'm teleworking, you have kids that are here always around, so not always the easiest thing to do to actually go out and crank out a video. But I do have some time, and I really do want to get back into this as books are starting to come back out. Because it's going to be a really exciting time here coming up here pretty soon. With Joker War coming, three Jokers, and then also Death Metal. To be a Batman fan, man, there's going to be some good stuff coming out. But one book I wanted to talk about for quite a long time and has never gotten around to it was this nice little book here, Batman Tales Once Upon a Crime. And this one is really, if you're familiar with the title Batman Lil Gotham, this is basically your creative team for it. Now, Little Gotham, that was a 12-issue series that occurred relatively early into the New 52. And there's ways you can get it out now in trade. They have two volumes, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Obviously, the first one collects the first six, and the second volume collects the second six issues. But also, you can get it in a trade like I do here. This is Batman, a lot of Little Gotham, which completes the whole entire series in one single trade paperback. And the thing with Batman Lil Gotham is that thematically what it did was basically every month it told a story based on the holiday of that month. Like in December there would be a Christmas type story. In November there would be a Thanksgiving type story. In July it would be an Independence Day type story, and so forth and so on. And in Batman Lil Gotham, it was a series where it was accessible to younger folks, but at the same time, folks like me and maybe the older crowd, I could also enjoy it and find a way to get something really out of it too. So it really did kind of cast a big net of people who actually could enjoy it. And it has art by Dustin Gwinn. Dustin Gwinn, fame of recently with Ascender and Descender, but back before this, you've seen him pepper throughout Batman books, and he has a really stylized art form, as you see here, kind of with like kind of like watercolors type of thing. So Batman Little Gotham, the series, was one that I really did enjoy. It's one my son and I read together, single issues, and I double dipped on that, and I got him his own the trades, volume 1 and 2, so it's kind of whatever, but technically we triple dipped, but either as it may. But it really was a really fun series, and to be honest, I was really excited about when I heard it was going to be released in this type of format. This kind of like what's going on right now, kind of like the young adult novel series that DC is releasing right now, and you hear novels kind of like, to be honest, this is the only one I've read so far. They have like the Harley Quinn one, they have the Catwoman one, and be there as it is, it just, to me, I just don't feel a real need to go out to get them. That said, if you read them, you had a good time with them, that's perfectly fine too. But this one, I was excited for, basically because again, this is Batman Little Gotham. And what this story is, first off, it's a really small book. If you look in kind of comparison to size, it's relatively small. And being that it is almost 200 pages, roughly, how many pages? Let's see, I'm going to just guesstimate it, not exactly. We'll say about 180 pages, but you generally get the gist for most of the book. Not your typical kind of like comic book. You get some paneling type of things, but you get that last story where it's basically like a page on itself. It's $9.99, and within this you get 5 stories. I'm pretty sure it's 5. I'm almost certain. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, 4. I thought it was 5. Either way. So what we're going to do is just kind of go through, and I'll kind of hit the high points of each story and kind of give you my rating as far as compared to the other stories, where to put them. And we'll kind of go from there. So the first story, this one you kind of just see right off the bat. It's called Occhio. And what you're going to see throughout this book is like it's going to take a fairy tale and kind of put a somewhat of a Little Gotham twist on it. So obviously this one, Occhio, is actually kind of based on the story Pinocchio. And a couple of stories kind of keep true to the form of the original story is kind of based off. And there's a couple where they kind of don't. But this one, it is very heavily linked to Pinocchio. Whereas this one, it opens up, it has Damien, he's sick at home, he's got the sniffles, and Batman's not going to take him out patrol, so he's going to drink some chicken noodle soup brought up by Alfred, and he's got to read a bedtime story in one of Batman's favorite stories when he was a kid, as Alfred mentioned, was this story Pinocchio. And Damien, in his classic, Damien way, kind of goes, it needs more Batman. So as he's reading it, it's actually kind of bringing it down into a Batman kind of flavor to it, where his parents are in here, Bruce and Talia, and they're trying to have a kid, and they can't have a kid, so they find different ways, and they get a way to build a puppet, just like we did in Pinocchio, and this is how Damien has come to be. They find different ways to try to get him to come to life. Interestingly enough, they try to put him in a Lazarus pit, and it doesn't work. But it's actually Satana who actually comes in, creates a spell that makes him come to life, even though he's still kind of a puppet. And I was reading this, you're seeing Alfred is kind of like his conscience, the good voice and reason. And I was reading this, and granted, you kind of see, I didn't see this initially, to be honest. I actually kind of skipped it, that first page. But I was reading, and I was like, man, that would be a shame if they didn't bring Batmite into this. This would be like a total Batmite thing to do, especially if you read like R.I.P. Oh, it would have been just absolutely perfect. And wouldn't you know it, whereas Alfred's kind of like the good reason and logic, Batmite's kind of like the bad. You got the angel on the right shoulder and then the devil on the left. And it's Batman, or Batmite's kind of like the mischievous thing, kind of coaching Damien to kind of, become Batman, be the hero he can be type of thing. And it's a big story that kind of goes through, it really does kind of keep true to the Pinocchio story. Obviously, you can't tell a lie, his nose grows. And there's a couple times where he tells a lie on purpose just to use the nose as a weapon. You'll kind of see it as he kind of goes along. But the story is this, Occhio, Damien, kind of going through and interacting with the Batman universe in a cool little way. This one was just awesome. He's interacting with all the Batman villains, which oddly enough, Scarface was a good choice for him to come across. And, he says, I am vengeance, I am the night, I am. And he's just like, that was just a great, Batman animated series kind of reference there. But just an awesome story. Again, it's really almost, I'm not going to say beat for beat like Pinocchio, but it is sort of at heart a Pinocchio story, just kind of put in the Batman universe. It's just really cool. You see a lot of cameos in here. Obviously, Joker and Harley's in it. This is an awesome story. It ends up at the very end. Batman and Talia, saving Damien, and you see the nice little touching part of the end. Batman coming in and realizing, oh, he's reading my favorite book. It was an awesome story. Just really just cool, and it just had Damien being Damien. I love that they had Alfred and Batmite, it was like his conscience as he's kind of going through his adventure. It was just really fun. This one, I'm pretty sure it's. Yeah, we'll just assume 4. I don't know why I keep thinking there's 5 stories, but the 4 stories. This was actually the second best one, and just awesome. The next story, it's called The Princess and the Pea, based off the story The Princess and the Pea. And basically what it is that there's this heist that's out that someone stole a jewel. And you have Commissioner Gordon with Harvey Bullock and Detective Montoya, who are sitting there and questioning, the usual suspects who could be the ones that actually, stole this jewelry. First one's Harley, who kind of tells a backstory why she didn't do it, because she was messing around with the Joker, and Two-Face is someone who's kind of like applying to be Joker's right hand man type of thing. Next one, I believe, was it Catwoman? Who was the second person being interviewed? Oh, it was Poison Ivy. Same type of thing. Why I couldn't be doing it, because I was actually messing around, terrorizing, Gotham, and creating this plant that kind of gave everyone the sniffles. It's kind of a running gag throughout. Harvey Bullock is, sneezing, got a cold. It's all because of, what Poison Ivy did. And then the third character is that Joker. And this one was kind of weird because this is actually kind of like a spin-off, even though the story is The Princess and the Pea. This one's kind of like, Jack and the Beanstalk, where he's saying, hey, it couldn't be me because I was actually, going up and I was messing with Batman. And I love the Batman mech suit. Kind of the reference from at the Court of Owls. Cool story. Pretty sure the next one, was it? I'm not certain. No, it was, I can't remember. What's her name? Oh boy, Baby Doll. I think it's Baby Doll. The anime series. I'm totally drawing a blank on the name. But yeah, her part's relatively quick. Why she didn't do it. And then Catwoman, she didn't do it because she's messing around with Batman, who actually she gets brought into the family through Batman with all the good deeds she was later doing. But there's a twist on what she does with Clayface, which I'm not going to really go too far into it. And then you find out they all get kind of thrown in jail because while they didn't steal the jewel, they did some other things. And you actually find out who actually stole the jewel. You kind of could have seen it kind of going with the reference to sweep the pea and so forth and so on. So this one, believe it or not, was probably the least of my favorite of the stories. It's just, it didn't really stay connected to, the Princess and the Pea. It kind of had other stories, references within it, but it just seemed it didn't have a good flow, to be honest. It felt kind of clunky. Next one, Alfred in Wonderland, obviously a spin-off of Alice in Wonderland. It's beat for beat, almost like Alice in Wonderland, where Alfred is trying to get some tea. He runs out and realizes they can actually go down. I'm willing to bet there's something in the Batcave. And he gets the tea. Well, it turns out it's poisoned by somebody, and it's just Alfred on this mental trip based off the tea. He's drunk as he kind of goes through a very Alice in Wonderland type story. I mean, you get a Titus cameo in here. It stays really true to Alice in Wonderland, but again, within the Batman universe, and sub Alice for Alfred. It was really good. I really did enjoy it. Clock King shows up. It's just, the Joker, the Jester. It was just, overall, it was fun. I'm not going to go too far in depth in this because I do kind of want to leave some meat on the bones, but this was just a fun story. Not as good as, Occhio, in my opinion, but just awesome. Kind of great Alice in Wonderland story set in the context of the Batman universe. I don't want to ruin who laced the tea. I'm not going to go into that, but it was awesome. I would put this as, of the 4, this would probably be number 3 of the stories, and it would have been a little bit maybe higher if this story was not it, because this was a fantastic story. So definitely Alfred and Wonderland, definitely a good story to read. The Snow Queen. This one is awesome, and a couple of reasons why I really, that would be upfront, this is the best one of the book. The art is great. You really do get, this is again not really kind of like a comic book form. It is, but it's almost like you're reading a poem, but with pictures in the background, the setting. It really is this Batman struggling through the snow, and he's trying to find someone, and he doesn't really know who he's looking for, but he has the Snow Queen that's kind of helping him, guide him through to the person that he needs to find. And through this journey, and again, just the art is great. This is just beautiful. I love the color palette. I love how they do the letters. I love the story, the way it's told. It's just totally awesome. Batman, again, he's wandering through, and he runs up against Poison Ivy along the journey. But again, he knows he has to find someone, but he doesn't know who it is. And his quick interaction with Pamela Isley, who gives him a rose to kind of help him find what he needs to be looking for. And then kind of comes up against this crow. Again, it kind of helps him, guide him through. But all this time, he doesn't know who he's supposed to be looking for. Meanwhile, the Snow Princess kind of helps him, guide him to where he needs to go, even though Batman really doesn't know really who and where he needs to go, but he knows he needs to help somebody. And the twist, and I don't want to sit there, why the hell not? The reason I love this story is that he finds out the person he needs to help is it's Mr. Freeze. And it kind of gives into this plot kind of theme that you read throughout here, is that, you know, we get hung up on memories. Sometimes it's easy to get hung up on bad memories and make you feel bad, but it's always, you know, good to remember the good things in life and kind of have those memories. And we actually find out the Snow Princess that was helping Batman along was actually Nora. Nora guiding him to help Mr. Freeze, who's stuck in a pond where Mr. Freeze actually met Nora for the first time ice skating. And it was just a great story. It was really touching, believe it or not. It was a simple story the way it was told. And to be honest, you kind of figured who it is. You're just kind of like the Snow Princess. You kind of know, well, it has to be Nora and Snow. And you read through it, it's like, yeah, this has to be Mr. Freeze. But it does it in a nice, subtle way where it all kind of coalesces at the end. And it's just an awesome story that it was just really good. And it's just, you just realize that Nora knows that Mr. Freeze needs help, and then the person she gets is Batman to help him. Just totally awesome. Again, the story's great. The way they do the letters is great, but the art, this is the best art in the whole entire story, and it just really does lend itself to Dustin Nguyen's art style. Just awesome. So that was obviously, you know, the best story in the book overall. Giving this a grade I'll give this a 4 out of 5. To be honest, the Princess and the Pea story, again, it wasn't as necessarily bad as just compared to the other ones. The best way to read this, and I've heard this from multiple people who's read this, is don't binge read this. Read this a story at a time, and then kind of take a break, go away from it, because this is one, again, they don't really connect at all. And the only thing that kind of connects everything is that each story opens up with, you know, once upon a crime type of thing. But definitely read a story, take a break, come back an hour later or a day later. Binge reading this, it gets kind of tiresome, but if you take a story at a time and kind of read and enjoy it for that way, it's just awesome. It's $10 for 4 great stories. Again, this is one that everyone can enjoy. The kids can read. My son has read this. He loved it. And I read it. I loved it. It's, again, Batman Lil Gotham. One of its strengths is that it finds a way to appeal itself to a wide range of readers. So, highly recommend this. 4 out of 5. Just great. Great read. And for $9.99, can't beat that. So anyway, hit me up in the comments below if you read this. If you like Little Gotham, we'll chat about that because I love Little Gotham. And then we'll kind of go from there. So until next video, take care, everybody.